Hey man, it's Phil X, and you're watching Guitar Tales with Dave Cohen. And Guitar Tales, guitar tales. Like, what else do you need, right? Guitar. We're geeks, nerds, gear, inspirations, positive vibes. Look out.
And welcome to an historic, not a historic, but an historic. Although technically you are allowed to say a historic or an historic. We're going to say an historic episode of Guitar Tales. We have our first ever guests chatting with us straight from Italy. It's 10:30 in the morning, so Scott and I are not drinking alcohol. I'm having a little bit of seltzer. And before we get started with Sebo, who is a wonderful, acclaimed guitar player and an endorser of Ibanez, we want to thank our sponsor, Confections of a Rock Star. I've been there many times. This place is great to visit in downtown Asbury. Fabulous food, fabulous people working there. And if you look at the walls, it's like going to a rock museum. So I strongly recommend you check out Confections of a Rock Star. And if you have a pooch, like Scott and I do, they even have doggy treats, but the people treats are even more important. So Confections of a Rock Star, check them out over in Asbury Park. And now, without further ado, we will bring in our co-host, the great Scott guitarist Engel.
Hello. I'm going to put you over here, and I'm going to be over there.
I felt a little comfortable on the right side. I feel better now. I am a lefty.
We have to stick with our format.
We do. And Sebo, it's so funny. Before we started taping, we were chatting with him. I could already tell what a great guy. And we kept saying, oh my God, that's a show, because we're already getting along great with him. So let's just start chatting.
All right, let's bring him on. All the way from Milan, I think.
Hello, guys. Yeah, correct, from Milan. Thank you very much, Dave and Scott and Guitar Tales, for having me. I'm so glad to be featured in your show. Thank you.
There we go.
It's our pleasure. You know, I love it when we get someone on who just exudes positive energy. You know, that's what we were getting from you. We were just chatting it up. You're always smiling, always, because we've known you for 5 minutes. But at least in this conversation, just smiles, friendliness. And what's great is there was already a little bit of camaraderie and chatting it up. So we figured, let's just start taping. We actually politely cut you off because we were getting along so nicely. Sebo, am I saying your name right?
Yeah, it's correct. Sebo. It's not Sebo, but Sebo. We pronounce Sebo.
Sebo. That's perfect. You know, so you are our first. You're not our first European on the show, but you're our first guest from Italy.
Oh, it's an honor for me.
And my mother's thrilled. I'm half Italian, whereas my mother says if you're half Italian, you're all Italian.
Yeah.
The Contis and the Barbarisas came to Ellis Island, and the rest is history. Anyway, so yeah, she's very excited that we have a fellow from Italia.
An Italian guy.
Yeah.
And are you born in Italy?
Yeah. I was born here in Milan.
Oh, okay. So you stayed in the same town, which is great. And we were chatting up. So I understand from Scott that you come to NAMM all the time. So you run a lot of guitar clinics. So you have a connection with the U.S., but most of your work, I take it, you stick around Europe, right?
Yeah. Mainly, yes. Well, I have to say that being involved in the musical instruments business for many years, like 30 years. Actually, my first NAMM was in 2002. And
wow!
Then I think I've never missed one. So many NAMM shows. But actually, I made a lot of. I organized many clinic tours for U.S. artists in Italy mainly, also Spain sometimes. So that's why I'm so connected with the U.S.
Well, that's great. And I guess in Italy, I mean, I was in Italy once, and everyone there speaks English. Were you taught English as a kid in school, or did you have to pick it up later?
Well, I have to say, I studied English at school, primary and middle school, and high school as well. But I have to say, the English you study there is not that useful. It's very scholastic, you know.
Gotcha.
For me, working in this business has been a great help to develop my English and to, of course, understand people talking in English. And I don't know if it's normal or not, but for some reasons, to me, it's easier to understand a US guy than a UK guy. Especially
Interesting.
Scottish, Irish, they're really, really hard to understand to me.
They do have a crazy accent. We have the correct accent.
And we drive on the right side of the road.
Yeah.
To settle for 30 minutes before being able to understand an Irish or a Scottish guy talking, because
Isn't that
it's
wild?
harder.
Well, we've all seen Austin Powers. No one understands them.
Okay,
So
yeah,
all the
yeah.
Italian lessons I took on Babbel before this show are going to help me, I guess. We do have Italian fans, because we had a fella on named Dorian Cheetah, amazing electric violinist, who has a huge fan base in Italy. And after we put up the show, I got this like broken English message from a guy in Italy saying, "Is there any way you could have subtitles on your show for us in Italy?" We
Real time.
Yeah, he's got a huge fan base over there. So if you want to say hi to our fans in Italy, in Italia, you can go ahead and say that now if you'd like.
Ok, ciao ragazzi, io sono felicissimo di essere stato invitato da Guitar Tales, dai miei amici Dave e Scott, e ovviamente parleremo in inglese, ma spero capiate tutto quello che avremo da dirci.
Ah, see?
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's fantastic.
So we're going to get this show, subtitled in Italian for our Italian fans.
So a fun fact, 13 or 14 months ago, for 1 week, we were the #1 music podcast in Iceland.
Wow, yeah, really?
with about 7 views.
Wow.
I went with my daughter on vacation there, and somehow the algorithm, either it's because I watched it, or two other people there watched it. But
7 viewers, maybe it's half the people over there. So
I know.
You should organize the guitar show over there.
We're #1 somewhere. I know that.
Yeah.
So I have my Ibanez guitars here with the Alt 30, right?
Yes.
That acoustic, which is really great. We could talk about that a little bit. And this, a shout out to Sal Tyne and Guitar Fix in Long Island, who made a custom Ibanez for me. That's a Prestige RG, and he put a Moffett amp in there. There's a bullet. There's actual bullet in the back. He's put a see-through plate on the back, put a bullet in there. It's got some holographic inlays, and those knobs pull, tap, light up, all kinds of stuff. That guitar is a lot of fun. And I'm a Floyd guy. You're a Floyd guy, right? You like the floating tremolo?
Well, I love using both fixed bridge and tremolo, but Floyd, I mean, I have a beautiful J Custom Ibanez with a Edge 0 bridge,
right.
And I have a beautiful brand new RG5440 with the low pro edge that I love. But I really, really enjoy playing also standard tremolo, standard for Ibanez, like the AZ guitars.
Right.
I recently got Luca Mantovanelli signature guitar that is a beautiful guitar that I'm going to show you.
Look at
with
that.
this amazing tremolo floating bridge that I really love. So I enjoy using any kind of tremolo, actually, depending on how I'm inspired that day, you know.
Yeah.
I felt like you can get a lot more out of you can get your guitar to do a few more tricks, if you will, with a tremolo than a hardtail. As much as I love playing a hardtail, sometimes when I play a tremolo guitar, I try not to touch the tremolo too much and do too much tremolo stuff.
There are pros and cons on both worlds, because if you use double stops, being a classic rock and roller, I use a lot of double stops, bichords, and with a fixed bridge guitar, you have a better intonation. Of course, when you bend the string, you don't feel the other one going down.
Right.
So you have the right intonation you would expect. With a tremolo, especially a very sensible one like the Floyd Rose, you have to accept not to be that perfect pitch as you would like to have.
Yeah,
that's a great point. Yeah, because and then breaking strings on a tremolo that's floating is kind of
it's a nightmare.
It doesn't go well.
You have to switch guitar if you're performing and you break a string. Yeah,
and you think about where we are now compared to couple of decades ago in the in the world of staying in tune and having a well-constructed tremolo that
Yeah.
I know that Ibanez has done great things just to sort of bring us there.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
Ibanez since the very beginning has been indicated as an innovation company. They're innovators, so they
Yeah.
feel that mission. So they want to keep going, keep raising the level, offering new cutting edge instruments on any feature of the guitar. So they're not prisoner or some classic instruments like could be a Les Paul or a Strat.
Yeah.
So they're free to innovate, and actually nowadays we have very, very reliable guitars. Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
the early Kahlers were like crazy,
Yeah, I
funky and
remember.
big, and they were like, I was scared of those things. They just all those knobs and oh my god.
Yeah.
And then when the Floyds came out, I was like, all right, well, I can get my head around what's going on here.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
they've been it's funny because when I think of Ibanez, I think of, and wrongly so, I think of electric. But I was just telling Scott as we were setting up today, I told him literally a 40-year-old story where I cut the lawn of a luthier who was also a chiropractor.
Yeah, wow.
You can't make that up. And I hooked our joint friend Charlie up with him because someone had traded in an Ibanez acoustic for a handmade classical.
Yeah.
Charlie buys the guitar for $90 in like 1980 or something like that. And it played like an electric, but it sounded like an acoustic.
Uh-huh.
And all these years later, he still has that guitar and plays it all the time. And it was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And it looks like a traditional acoustic. It doesn't have like what Scott has behind him with the electric neck and an
Yes.
acoustic body. It looks like a standard, like a Guild or something like that.
Yeah.
The quality, literally 4 decades later, it just sounds better than it used to, as you would expect from a good acoustic.
Uh-huh.
But that's what really, that guitar is what turned me on to the quality that we get out of Ibanez, because as a little kid, I was in my teens back then. I just always thought of a heavy metal styled guitar because that's what they're so great at, but they're great at so much more.
Yeah, actually. And then we have to split Ibanez history before 1987 and after 1987.
Okay.
Because in 1987, Ibanez introduced the Jam, Steve Vai signature model,
Right.
and all the RGs. So in 1987, that was a crucial year for Ibanez because they became an actual brand doing their own shapes, their own guitar, their own models. And nowadays, Ibanez is still strongly the third brand in the world after Fender and Gibson.
Wow.
Before that, Ibanez had a very long history, but mainly producing copies.
I did not know that. That's interesting.
Very, very good copies. And actually, in the early 70s, they had a lawsuit with Gibson because they actually were copying Gibson with the same headstock shape as well.
Oh,
and many
okay.
people were starting to prefer Ibanez Les Paul copies than the way more expensive Gibson guitars back then. So, they made very good copies that if you're lucky enough to buy one, to find one nowadays, you can understand how good they were because they were, approaching the US market. So they had to provide very well done instruments.
I remember that very well because it was a very dear friend of ours owned a music store in those days. And I remember he's like, you got to see these Ibanez guitars. I'm like, I never heard of them. And I went to the shop and I'm like, oh my God, these are amazing. They were so well built. I mean, you'd think in those days, anything overseas, anything, from Japan, was like wonky, the Tiscos and what have you. And then the Ibanez stuff comes along.
Hey, Tisco's my first guitar.
But there was some cheaply made stuff coming in from Japan in those days. And the Ibanez stuff was a game changer. And I remember right around the same time, Tama drums were just getting started, and they just came to the market and blew everybody away with their quality and so forth.
Absolutely. And actually this year, 2024, Tama is celebrating their 50th anniversary.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, that was they started in 1974, and actually Tama was Mr. Hoshino's wife.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they made the drums brand name Tama.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, and now it's 50 years later. And you know that Oshino is the Japanese company producing both Ibanez guitars and Tama drums.
Right. So
They're
I knew there was
made,
some kind of connection there, and just till
yes,
today,
of
Yeah.
course,
I
they're
knew that what that
completely
was.
two separate production lines, not the
Right.
same factory.
But I
But
kind of remember them coming up at the same time and being
yes,
imported sort of at the same time. In fact, we went to the docks where the ships come in Newark here in New Jersey, and we got a crate full of guitars and a crate full of drums right off the boat and brought it to the music store. It was the coolest thing ever.
yeah, cool.
Because when you go to a music store and it's already set up, you don't even think about where the origin is, especially now that the guitars are made all over the world.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And some of them are icky and some of them are really great. You never know what you're going to end up with. But Ibanez and Tama always had quality control down. I mean,
Yeah.
even this Alt Star is like a $300 acoustic guitar. The price point for the quality of this thing and the way it sounds, and the way it plays, is just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually used that guitar to shoot a video for
Yes.
Ibanez.
Wow.
And
I told you,
have to
it's
say-
your fault I bought that thing.
I'm so glad you did.
I
Actually,
watched a lot of
Yeah.
your clinics and a lot of your stuff.
actually, if you want, I can talk about the video that we shoot with me and my friend Andy Martongelli.
Sure.
Because actually,
Sure.
Ibanez asked us to prepare an actual metal song to play those guitars because they actually wanted to approach the rock players wanting to buy a rock vibe acoustic guitar. So
Right.
they asked for a metal song, and actually we took a song from Andy Martongelli's band Artemis, and we take a portion of a song, we set everything up, we rearranged everything for two acoustic guitars, and we made this video. And actually it came out pretty controversial because a lot of people say, come on, that's not the way an acoustic guitar should be played, come on. And other people say, oh my god, please Ibanez, don't. Other people say, oh, I want it so bad. So in the end, actually, we had to say, I'm really proud of that. That's been the most successful video on Instagram for Ibanez from the beginning of the year.
That's fantastic.
That's
We
fantastic.
really had 100,000 views, so we're really happy about that.
I think we're going to drop that video in when I do post production. Right.
I was going to do the ask of you, Scott. That's fantastic.
We're going to drop that in there. Yeah, it's really cool. They're
Scott,
harmonizing
show
with
us the guitar. Pick it up.
Which one? The one I have here?
Yeah, let's
Yeah, they
take a
all
look.
start.
That's a gorgeous guitar.
Yeah, actually, this one is
the finish
even
on this is called
better looking.
Red Doom or something like that, right?
This one is even better looking than the one we used because we used for the video the flat color. They're metallic color, but you can't see the beautiful flame top on all guitars.
And
That
this
is
one
gorgeous.
really
and the
beautiful.
binding, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's a real workhorse. I mean, and the body's a little smaller too, which is nice, and it's really good for beginners because it's not like a dreadnought, which is very, the body's very
Yes.
big and bulky.
Yeah.
And the neck,
That's a gorgeous
It's-
neck.
the action is unbelievably close. You got the binding on the neck.
Yeah.
And the electronics are fantastic too. Like they put in a watch battery in here to power this thing, and it never goes dead. I used to have to change batteries like crazy.
yes. They're
older.
starting using these kind of batteries
Yeah.
lately.
Yeah, and it's got a tuner, built-in tuner. It's got and it sounds
Yes.
really good plugged in, which is when I bought this like a couple of summers ago for an outdoor gig. I didn't really have a good acoustic electric to play outside. And it was sort of an impromptu gig. I got asked to play. The guy was sick or something like that. And I said, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I looked, found your video, inspired me to buy this. And it was a great price point. And everybody asked me when I bring it out, it looks like a much more expensive guitar than it is because it plays and looks great.
And actually, for a rock player, the fact that it features the same headstock of the electric series, it's really, really catchy.
That is such a good looking headstock. Let me see the machines on it.
Oh, they're solid. They're solid state.
Oh, look at those. They look great.
It's just really, very beautiful. The neck is a composite material, I think. But that's great because it's got such rigidity to it. I mean, this has been in my basement. It's been on camping trips. It's been outside by the fire. It's been at gigs. It's got bounced around. I got a couple of scratch marks on the back is all.
Yeah.
And it's solid. No cracks in the binding or nothing or anything. It's really held up nicely. It's about 2 years old now at this point.
Wow. Cool. Very nice purchase.
Yeah. It's a fantastic guitar. I'm thinking, to go back to the history of Ibanez, I'm thinking these days about Hyundai, right?
Yeah.
So when Hyundai first came out, everyone sort of tried to laugh at them. They were the butt of jokes. Oh, what kind of car is that? Oh, it's a Hyundai. Then Hyundai starts running ads like Hyundai, yes, Hyundai, right?
Yeah.
And now they are the standard bearer for high quality. People don't think that about Hyundai anymore. And there really never was a rational reason why people thought Hyundai wasn't good. Hyundai is like Toyota, like they're just solid. They're wonderful cars. And you've got the same thing with Ibanez and Tama.
I think it's us as human beings, when something unknown comes out, our instinct is to refuse it.
Right.
Be very critic, because I remember when the first Japanese guitars were imported, at least in Italy, we were so skeptical about that. I mean, the first Squires. In the early 80s here in Italy, you paid something like the equivalent of $1,200 for an US guitar.
Yep.
Squire were $600-700. So very cheap compared to the US one.
Yes, yeah.
They were made with the same material, components and stuff, just assembled in Japan, but people didn't want to buy them. Nowadays they are so sought after, because nowadays a made in Japan instrument is considered a very fine instrument.
Right.
But back then, 40 years ago, it was, come on, a Japanese crap. That was the average thoughts of people.
I think it was leftover prejudice from the Second World War. The Japanese were enemies, and and the joke was like, made in Japan. Oh yeah, it's a piece of junk, and that kind of carried, for many, many decades. But the proof is in the pudding. The quality of these instruments you can't. It's worldwide quality, right?
It's like it's a kind of joke. It's like Fiat cars in US, because I've been told that Fiat was back in the days perceived like the acronym of "Fix It Again, Tony." They were always broken. Always broken. But then when Fiat bought Chrysler and they made the Fiat Chrysler company and stuff, and they launched the 500 model in the US, they made big posters saying, with young guys, driving a 500, saying, "Tony ain't fixing anything, like something like that."
Oh, I love that. I don't know that commercial. I'm gonna have to look it up on YouTube.
Mirror needs to be replaced.
This is a very bad. Don't worry, we fix it. Oh, Salvatore, Paolo!
No. This is embarrassing, eh? No all-wheel drive, no horsepower, no.
Ma c'è niente sicurezza, niente tecnologia. È come un cavernicolo in una macchina preistorica.
They're assessing the car.
No style, no leather.
Che tipo di uomo guida una macchina senza pelle?
The mirror's broken.
Where is the sexy?
No sexy.
No sexy.
No sexy.
Do you have any other mechanics?
We fix it. You like espresso?
Yeah, I guess.
Come on in.
Ah, bravo.
Well, she's ready.
So is that?
Your car, we fixed it.
We fixed it.
I just drive it?
This is your car. We fix it.
Oh. I really like what you guys did.
We fixed the sedan with the all-new Fiat 500X crossover.
It feels really good on my butt. I mean, it feels good everywhere, but really good on my butt.
The fix it again Tony thing.
Yeah, I've been in some pretty rotten Fiats back in the day. I remember I think my friend had a Fiat, and the wheel would jump up, and every time you hit a bump, the wheel would go inside the well, and you would hear it hit the inside of the body inside the car.
It's a comforting feeling
Until the tire wore away and eventually flew out. I said, I think this car is made for carrying like 1 or 2 people, not 4 of us to a gig, you know, because the back is probably going down the road like this.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's funny.
yeah.
How was that?
Oh yeah, it was pretty scary. But
So
anyway,
yeah, so we've covered your wonderful affiliation with Ibanez, and then as an artist, you know, what are some of your other fun or professional activities with guitar? I know you do a lot of clinics, right?
Yeah. I actually made many clinics for Ibanez because I've been lucky enough to work in this business since the middle 90s.
Okay.
Back then, we didn't have internet. I mean, it was already invented, but not so popular with people, you know?
Right.
No YouTube, no social media, of course. So the only way to try to see, to listen to musical instruments were, you know, guitar shows, musical instrument shows, and actual clinics.
Right.
So back then, I made many clinics in the stores because the distributor I was working for didn't carry just Ibanez. They had many very high quality brands like Gibson, Mesa Boogie, Line 6, Lenny, a lot of stuff, very nice stuff. So I was lucky enough to do many clinics during that period. And thanks to Dan, we also organized many clinics with international artists. So I had the opportunity to work with many guitar players, and with many of them we're still friends today. We're in touch all the time. So I work with people like, I don't know, Marty Friedman, Steve Lukather, Steve Vai, of course, Paul Gilbert, Andy Timmons.
so you make sure you tell them what a great time you had on Guitar Tales, and we want those guys on the show too.
Okay. I'll talk to them about that.
Oh, by the way, we should drop a shout out here. Rob Balducci is the one that put us.
Of course,
Sebo.
Rob.
And Rob is recovering from some pretty significant surgery. So we just want to say, from all your friends here at Guitar Tales and your fans worldwide, get better soon, Rob.
Yeah,
Of course, we
wish you well.
Quick recovery. And actually, Rob, who is my brother more than a friend, actually, Rob is the one who came to Italy the most for touring, because we made 3 clinic tours in Italy during the years, and every clinic tour was at least 5 to 6 clinics in a row.
Wow.
So actually, I can say we travel Italy from the very south of Sicily to the very north of Italy. So he knows a lot about Italy. He has Italian relatives as well. And he says that his parents just spoke in Italian like the secret language when he didn't have to understand what they were saying. You know? So
yeah, growing up, there was a couple of words that I learned in Italian. State zit, un momento.
Wait a minute.
Mange, of course. You know, so couple of words here and there, but I never got fluent. In fact, I took 4 years of Italian in high school, and I tried to talk to my great grandmother, who's from Italy, and she laughed at me because I guess the dialect was so different. When I tried to say something in Italian, she just laughed. So that did not go well.
I have to say, in Italy, we have dialects that most of the time are not just accents. They actually sound like a completely different language. I mean, close to Milan, there's a city called Bergamo that is like 30 miles away from Milan, so pretty close.
Right.
And actually, if they spoke their local dialect, you can understand a word. So that's the way. But it's normal. But the thing is, I wonder why a person should try to learn Italian, because Italian is spoken just in Italy. I mean, it's not like learning Spanish,
Right,
not just
right.
for Spain, but all South America, and there are many places you can.
That's a
use
great
your
point. Now I'm
Spanish.
going to change my Bible account to Spanish.
I didn't even think of that. You're right. And
that
then,
is a great point. Rats.
yeah.
Well, we have many Italian communities in any country, because especially after World War II, a lot of Italians migrated in other countries. There are a lot in Canada, US, South America, a lot, especially in the West, of course.
Yeah.
New York as well. But actually, Italy is the only place they speak Italian. So
I never even thought of that. You're right. Spanish is, prolific. All the Asian languages are, all over the place. And English, I'm guessing, population-wise, is what number 1 or number 2, I would think.
yeah, actually, English is the way any person can communicate worldwide. So everybody should know English properly.
Scott and I are working on it.
How do Italians feel about our New Jersey show, like The Sopranos?
Oh yeah. Actually, we see it like a kind of stereotype sometimes.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
a little exaggerated.
Does it not bother Italian people that
No, absolutely. Many of them are proud of that.
Right,
Many Italians are proud of the Godfather saga, because they feel something to be proud of, even though it's really, in some points it's exaggerated, in some other not.
Right.
Maybe it's even worse, But it's a character that doesn't represent all Italian people behavior, of course.
Correct.
Right.
What is what's the music scene like now? When we think of Italy, we think about violins and accordions and music like
opera.
that.
Yeah.
And here you are, you're a metal guy in Italy. What's the metal music scene like? What's the music scene like in general in Italy?
Well, the main the top charts genres are, of course, any other countries, pop music.
Right.
We have Italian songwriters, singers, very famous, like Eros Ramazzotti, that maybe you know him, Laura Pausini, Bocelli, Il Volo, these worldwide artists,
right.
Or Vasco Rossi, who is a big rock star in Italy. We have a music festival called the Sanremo Festival, happening in February, based on Italian music, but we don't have a strong legacy and expect to find people playing mandolin around the city on gigging with a mandolin.
Right.
This is a very traditional thing that you can find maybe in Naples, maybe inside restaurants or venues where just Napolitan music is delivered. All the rest of Italy is more like international vibe with local sauce,
I gotcha.
Is like that. Hip hop, trap music is very, very popular. Where we actually tend to get anything coming from the US as something really super cool. So all the main acts in the US are very popular in Italy as well.
So I have a crazy question. I just pulled this up. This guy.
I can't see what that is.
What's his name?
I'm going to find it for you. It's all over the internet now. We're all over social media.
He's an Italian guy?
Yes. And the deal is, and I hope we don't have to do it in post. I'll try to find it right now. But he did Adriano Celentano.
Oh, Adriano Celentano. He's really super famous. But now he's over 80s.
Right.
Over 80. Yeah, I think he's 82, something like that.
Wow.
But back then in the 60s, he was a superstar because he was kind of trying to mimic Elvis Presley, but in a very Italian style, mood, like ironical. And he actually wrote many historical songs as well.
So I looked him up, and I don't know how much will show up on camera or on audio of that, but this clip is so fascinating to me. He decided to write a fake American pop song.
Yeah.
There's no real words in it. There's no real words,
so.
But you listen to it, You're like, oh, I don't think I'm understanding what he's saying, but it sounds like it's sung in English.
Oh,
and it's ridiculously catchy.
Yeah.
It looks like it was taped in maybe the early 70s or something like that.
Yeah.
But I periodically look it up because it's such a catchy song.
Yeah. But actually, he used to be very, very famous. Nowadays, if you ask anybody do you know Adriano Celentano? Everybody knows him.
Okay.
Absolutely. But back then, he was on the main TV shows every day. Yeah, he was really, really super popular.
And that tune, maybe, Scott, we could probably do like 15 seconds in post on that.
Yeah,
we don't want to get snipped out.
Yeah, I know. It's so catchy. It is so catchy, that song. And there's not a single word in it. He just mumbles for 10 words. Very clever.
Sebo, I saw yesterday on your Instagram, which you're going to plug right now, that you maybe have a new project coming out. Are you allowed to talk about that yet?
It started yesterday.
Oh, it started.
Actually,
good.
Yeah, because we have a web...
I'm a publicist, damn it.
We have a web TV here in Italy called Rocker TV. And they do a lot of stuff, a lot of shows, and the main owner of the TV show is a drummer, a pretty well-known drummer. So he made his own show called Drummers Will Save the World. And he's all about drummers, inviting drummers, talking about drums and stuff. So he wanted to do something about guitar. So he invited me to host this program, this show called... I'm gonna smash you that fucking guitar. That's the and that's why the reason was this is a phrase, a sentence we all heard from our parents back then after they talked with our teachers or when our valuation arrived at the end of a semester with very bad valuation. It was all about the guitar because we were playing all the time. So the first thing they said was, "I'm gonna smash you that fucking guitar." So that's why we titled the show this way. And we were going to invite many guitar players, mainly Italian guitar players.
Looking forward to that. Looks really cool.
It does look great.
You had like
Pete Townsend on.
He had a little teaser yesterday, and I thank God I wrote it down. I wanted to make sure I asked about it.
And we also have our first sponsor is a company I'm actually collaborating with. That is an Italian company named Overloud. They're a software company. They do a guitar suite called THU. And actually, we prepared a pack for Rocker TV that we give away every episode to the guys winning, discovering a secret riff that we're gonna play. So,
is there a way for the show to be viewed internationally? Where is it going to be?
Yeah, absolutely. On the YouTube channel, they live stream on Twitch, on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. So
beautiful.
Maybe the time is not good for US because it's at 3 p.m. on Monday. So 3 p.m. means
5 hours ahead. Because let's be a nighttime show
early in the morning. But
yeah,
actually, it stays on the platforms then, so you can.
Yeah. I wonder if we should put our show on Twitch. We have the ability to stream the show across multiple platforms, and Instagram has been a pain in the ass with their the way they've been
because
playing.
You can't program the streaming.
You have to put a new streaming key and everything. It's a little complicated, but we're doing it on X, which is Twitter. Is anybody calling Twitter X? Let's be honest.
Nope, no one's doing it.
Or Facebook, and anyway, so we stream our content, our older content, every Thursday, and we're actually catching up. Dave, I meant to tell you.
Thank you.
It's pretty soon.
Well, that is a good thing. Yeah, we've been on for about 5 years, so. Wow. Yeah, so as we play in the States, we play every Thursday at 7, but we're going through our old catalog, we're probably up to about 80 shows at this point, maybe more.
Wow.
So
I just put up the next 4 shows. Will take us through Phil X's show, through Mariah Formica's show, I think, which was only like a year or 2 ago.
Wow. So we're getting there.
Yeah.
So
we want to stream our current content. That's where we're going with this.
Yeah.
So when this show is done and edited and we drop in the videos and the pictures and stuff, and we're ready to put it up, instead of doing a premiere on YouTube, we will stream it across all the platforms, and it'll be archived that way, which is the way to go, I think.
Yeah, and that's when I'll walk away from the mic and go to the bathroom and forget that my mic is still on.
Well, you don't have a wireless mic, so you can't take it with you.
Yeah, that's true. I'm stuck with this. So So as we always do, we always like to ask our guests, what's next? We talked about your new project. What do you see off in your immediate future that we can help spread the word about for you?
Well, actually, I recently joined a band of people that I know forever called The Rocker, very similar to Rocker TV, but it was just a case. It's a classic rock band, or original music, and actually we're finalizing a song that we composed for a guy that is an animalist guy, an Italian guy who actually went to Ukraine during this war, trying to save all the animals escaped from bombs and stuff, or exterminated families. So he made like an animal sanctuary, trying to save all those animals. And he has actually the attention of main media here in Italy, and not just Italy. So he loves rock and roll, and he knows the band. He asked us to produce a song talking about animals and his activity. So we made it, and we are about to release this song. And I think
great.
in a month or so, it's going to be released.
Well, definitely send it to us, and we'll promote it.
I will.
With gratitude and enthusiasm, we will promote that for you.
Anybody that comes on the show becomes part of our little, family, and we continue to share and promote every project.
Thank you, guys.
We also like to watch our rising stars, and different people are getting more exposure here in the United States that weren't, when they were on our show, maybe they weren't so exposed, and now all of a sudden they're blowing up, like Becky Baldwin from the UK. Who's just got involved with a big band, a big gig for her. And let's promote your YouTube channel. What do you see how pretty this is, Dave? You're gonna love this. Look at that. Even got a picture of him.
Oh, look at that.
So you scan that QR code, they'll take you directly to Sebo's YouTube channel, and there's lots and lots of great stuff there. And of course, the Ibanez YouTube channel is just loaded with videos of him jamming and playing and so forth.
Yeah, actually, I have several videos on Ibanez official channel that I usually, of course, I prefer them to upload those videos because I didn't invest that much on my YouTube channel, so I don't have many followers, and of course, YouTube algorithm doesn't help at all. If you're nobody, you must be even less than that. So I prefer Ibanez to share those videos. So many of my videos are there and not on my page. I avoid to upload twice, of course.
Perfect. So we'll put the Ibanez. We could probably put that in post.
Sure.
And this has been an absolutely fabulous and historic time with you.
Thank you so much, guys.
It was worth waking up early with my coffee here.
Okay. Thank you.
And,
next time, my turn. I'm gonna wake up maybe at night to make you comfortable with your time. No problem.
This is all good. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And for all of our Guitar Tales fans out there, we have a pretty long list at this point of guests coming up. So we're very excited about that. Scott and I will be in New York on Thursday of this week's taping to hang out, hopefully with Ace backstage, which we're very excited about.
Wow.
And
who was on our show.
And Ryan Spencer Cook, another
guest. My God, I forgot to say Ryan, our friend. That's right.
I got you, Ryan. Don't worry. Don't pay any attention to Dave.
He's going to be mean to me now.
But thank you. I'll get the laminate, and we'll keep Dave outside the venue.
That's right. But I'm going to get it right. Sebo or Sebo?
No, it's Sebo.
Sebo. I got it right there. Sebos. Well, thank you so much for joining us and giving us your positive energy and taking the time to spend with us from not only the other side of the pond, but from Italy itself.
Thank you so much, Dave and Scott. Really,
I was just about to say he almost made it through the whole show without saying the other side of the pond, and he said it.
It's a drinking. We made it a drinking game, literally.
And I will say, from the bottom of my heart, Rob Balducci, feel better.
Yes,
we're looking out for it. Yes, sir. And have a good night, everybody, or a good morning, depending on where you're watching us from.
That's right. And when. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Ciao. Thank you.
Ciao.
All
Yeah.
right.
Ciao.
Ciao. Ciao.